Hey guys, JC here. So I'm actually kind of sitting here because later there's going to be a graphic over here, over that area there. So that's why I want to leave a gap. I don't want to edit this later. That's why I'm doing it in OBS, all in OBS. This is actually a response, and I don't do these often because honestly, like I have better things to do, but from time to time, maybe it's worth doing. This is a response to a channel on YouTube called Let's Ask Shogo. As I'm making this video, he has 1.46 million subscribers. And if you watch the channel, look, obviously it's just like his opinion, right? I mean, you can disagree with it all you want. And that's what I'm going to do actually. Now, the interesting thing about that is that I find that if you disagree with some people in Japan, they automatically start to say, well, like you're a foreigner and you don't understand anything about Japan, so you should leave Japan. I want to comment on that very briefly. This is the attitude of a child, and not even a normal child, but kind of a brat who never heard the word no in his life. So, in those people's minds, right, everything in Japan is perfect, everything is delicious, everything is beautiful, and nothing is wrong. Uh, Basically, that's the mentality of those people. Now, I'm doing this particular channel because a while ago he posted a video about climate change in Japan, which was somewhat interesting. Uh, I replied in the comments about my climate change course, which is available for free on YouTube. You don't have to pay for it. I just gave a link to my website, I think, which again is free of charge. There's no registration, nothing. It's just links to YouTube videos. You can watch it for free, and in fact, the link will be in the description of this video. So go check it out. It's about 15 lectures long. There's really no excuse not to watch it. It's free. Like, what else? What more do you want? Like, what more can I do? Like, I'm trying to find ways to communicate with people. I'm trying to do things for free because people bitch about paying for stuff. I do it for free, and then nobody cares either. It's like, what do you want me to do then? Like, I don't understand. Like, I guess you have to be lucky because on YouTube these days, there's so much stuff that you get lost in the ocean, ocean of noise. Anyway, so that was that. So I posted that comment, and I noticed that I think he had it set to be approved or something like that, and he didn't. He must have rejected it or something. And that kind of tells me two things. Number one, somebody else is managing his YouTube channel, and for some reason they don't want to redirect traffic to other sources, which I think is extremely selfish to do that because come on, we're all in the same boat here. We're all trying to help each other out, or are we? That's the thing. I mean, maybe some people are just in it for themselves. And number two, of course, he doesn't have really a team of people. It's just he rejected, but again, kind of for the same reason to not drive traffic away from his videos. And again, that's just extremely selfish and self-centered. And after I saw that, after I saw my comment deleted, I immediately unsubscribed for that from that guy because yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to hang out with narcissists and people who are selfish and self-centered. Why would I do that? Like uh, like Twitter is already full of that. Why would I help that on YouTube or something? Anyway, so that's the story for that. But I have another account where I think I might be still subbed, but oh no, I'm not actually. No, I'm not because I see the button is not on, so I'm not. But his video popped up in my feed for some reason, maybe because I watched some other videos before. And this video is about why you shouldn't move to Japan. So actually, with this video, what he's doing is he's doing a massive disservice to Japan. So he often makes videos about how things are good in Japan, sometimes bad. But if you're like for a strong Japan, then you must be for kind of immigration to Japan. You must kind of tell people that, hey, it's pretty good here. Like, you should come and be here because, yeah, it's true. I'll talk about it later, but Japan has a declining population. That's true. Uh, but hey, if you want numbers, you have to bring people in, and Japan will change. I mean, if Japan needs to get like 30, 40 million people somewhere, and most of them are going to be foreigners, right? Because the Japanese are on the decline. Then maybe that's the future of the country. It's going to be a melting pot. I'm all for that. I mean, I'm all for multicultural things and not just one culture. So anyway, he makes this video, and then so in that video there is a graphic that he shows, and I just want to talk about that very briefly. So in the video, he spends about a quarter of the video talking about that. So I'm guessing he strongly believes in these numbers. He must be really, really scared of them or something. I'm not, okay? So that's the thing. I'm not scared of them at all, and I will explain why. So first of all, he says Japan has 7% of all active volcanoes. Um, okay, but these volcanoes are usually located in places where there are no people. I know he mentions like Mount Fuji or something, and that's a somewhat of a worry, although Mount Fuji is considered dormant. But anyway, yeah, the active volcanoes are probably like underwater volcanoes and stuff like that. Like, there's no people there. Like, so that's not really a big concern. I mean, I certainly don't think about it. I mean, that's not something that keeps me up at night. Then he says, okay, so the next two are actually kind of linked. 10% of all earthquakes, and then 20% of all earthquakes are stronger than magnitude 6.0. So this is a important point because, yeah, it's true, Japan has many earthquakes. And I don't know if, because a lot of people in the world don't experience earthquakes, so they don't even know what it feels like. Let's be honest there. So a magnitude 6.0 will shake your building pretty well. I mean, the one they had like 10 or 11 years ago, that was a huge one. That was like a 9 or something, 9.1 even. So that was just, I can't imagine that. But even 6 will shake you up pretty good. So the earthquake thing, I agree with that. That's also one of my worries here, is that, yeah, we always kind of have to live being ready. We always, because obviously we don't know exactly when it will happen. There are certain services in Japan that warn you about an incoming earthquake, but I find these services absolutely useless because usually the warning comes like 10 seconds before the earthquake. And I mean, sure, you can, but first you have to read the alert. That's the thing. You don't know what it says, right? I mean, it could say anything. So do you just jump under the table right away just in case, or what? So yeah, the alerts could be better, but this is because the prediction of earthquakes is terrible. That's just the truth. But yeah, it saves some lives, sure, but it's really far from perfect. Okay, so the earthquake thing, okay, I agree. The earthquake thing is not great. Average of 26 typhoons passing near or over every year. So if you can imagine the geography of Japan a little bit, so Japan is kind of this weird like sausage shape, and there is the island of, like, I don't know actually the name of the island, but this is where Fukuoka is. And it's true that a lot of typhoons actually often go over that area. That is true, but that is just one like small island of. I mean, it's not big anyway. It's not that big. So yeah, that island gets typhoons. Yes. So if you don't like typhoons, if you don't like to deal with that crap, get out of there, move somewhere else in Japan. There are other places to live in, okay? Not just that one tiny island. But I know some people are very attached to that area, etc., etc. So that's kind of their problem, I guess. But anyway, for me, where I am, there are certain typhoons that just kind of come here. It's usually just a lot of rain and maybe some wind, but usually it's just a lot of rain because usually we only get the very kind of tail of the typhoon. So for me personally, where I live, typhoon, not a worry, not a worry, not a worry, man. It's okay, it's okay. And then average of 2,000 landslide disasters every year. Okay, so maybe that is true. I haven't checked the numbers to be honest. Maybe that's true. I know it happens for sure, but I don't know if it's 2,000 or not. I mean, what is considered a landslide? Is it like a pebble sliding down a mountain? Is that I mean, I don't know what you count as a landslide here. So again, this happens mostly in areas where you have some hills, and Japan has certain mountainous areas or hilly areas, and I guess things can happen there. But again, look, it's the same scenario. If you live in a place where you have a hill and you're worried about a landslide, maybe it's time to move. Like seriously, like people have to. I lived my life. I'm 39 now. I've moved so many times in my life. If I had a penny for every time I moved in my life, I would be rich right now. Let's just say that. It's not really a big deal. Just obviously I know that probably these people live there because they got a house and their house was passed down from their ancestors and they refused to move from there. But that's their problem. At the end of the day, that's their problem. Look, I didn't build the house there. It's not my fault that it's there. So just move. Like it's very simple. And the rest of the video, I'm not going to show you, but basically about over there or over there in the mark, he talks about the hierarchy in Japan, and I agree with most of that. I think the hierarchy in Japan really sucks. I mean, in other countries it happens too. People get promoted because of their seniority and not because um, of their skills or something like that. So that happens a lot, but it seems that in Japan it happens very commonly, like maybe much more commonly than in other countries. So yeah, you get some old guys who get promoted just because they are, the most senior person left in the workplace. It doesn't mean though that they are actually the most skilled or the most talented or anything like that. So that's definitely a real problem, and that actually comes back to the thing about it's Japan is basically controlled, just not just the government, but also like pretty much every company, etc., etc. They are controlled by old people. That's the thing. It's the old people who crave power, even though they deny it usually. That's the big thing about Japanese people. But actually, they want that power. They crave that power, and then they do everything to get into those positions of power. So, yeah. And then after that, about over there in that mark, he talks about the declining population in Japan. So this is a real thing. Like Japan currently has about 115 million people or so, probably like 30 million. So let's say a quarter of the population is really kind of old people. Like I'm talking like maybe 70 or plus, 70 to 100, like in that range. So basically, when you are in that age range, you're gonna die soon. That's the age range where you die soon. Everybody knows that. It's not a mystery. Although in Japan, people live longer because of diet and health, etc., etc. That's true. But anyway, that's gonna happen. These people are gonna die eventually. The replacement rate here is crap. It's definitely below 2.0, which is the minimum required to just replace the parents. They're way below that. But again, like I said before earlier in the video, um, it's just an opportunity for the country to become something new. Countries change over time. US was something different 300 years ago, and now it's different again. And in the 100 years, it will be different again because you got more minorities who now become maybe majorities, etc., etc. Look, it happens all the time. But the US is a melting pot right now. Japan isn't. There are more foreigners here than, let's say, 20 years ago. That's true. There are more foreign restaurants, etc. But there's still very, very few foreigners here, and that's just a fact. Now, in some respects, that's good because, for example, there is no like Christianity, for example, here. I hear it's only like 1% of Japanese are Christians. It's usually kind of old people again. It's the same, like people who are afraid to die and maybe who are not thinking straight. They turn to Jesus because they get convinced by some friends. Wink, wink. But yeah, look, it's going to happen. But I think that's an opportunity for Japan to change. Get people from other countries to come here, become the melting pot, and then who knows? Who knows? But if you're worried about things as like taxes and etc., well, you have to bring people in there because people have to work here and pay taxes, and that's how you keep the country going. But I don't know. And also we have to remember robotics. That's the one thing that Japanese never ever talk about. This is very interesting to me because when I was growing up, I thought the future of robotics would be Japan. Well, mostly it's because of anime. I'll be honest there, because in Japanese anime, often you had like Gundam and um, man, there's so many others. I can't like think right now. So many other anime where you get these big robots fighting usually or building something, and I'm like, wow, this must be the future of Japan. And in reality, not at all. I have to say, like the Japanese robotics, from what I've seen recently, is really quite primitive to say the least. If you want good robotics, I recommend going to Boston Dynamics and checking them out. Now they do some really fucking crazy stuff. And that is amazing. That is amazing. Now Japan is like way behind on that. Way behind. But again, we're talking about the future. These things are going to improve in the future, and yes, you are going to get better robots. If anything, just import them or something. And they are going to take certain people's jobs, or they're going to replace certain people's jobs, right? That's the thing. You can use them to bump up the numbers, and instead maybe use some form of UBI system to, pay your population. I'm actually a very strong supporter of UBI. I think it should be implemented. You get money. That money usually gets reinvested into rent right away or your bills, okay? So basically, this is a big myth. Like, if people get money, they're gonna, like, invest it in stocks or something. No, they're not. No, they're not. They're gonna pay their rent because they have to. They're gonna pay their bills because they have to. They're gonna pay their gas bills, their fuel for the car if they have a car, and that's it. All that UBI money is gone, but it's reinvested right into the economy. And also, the other good thing about it is that a lot of people right now are kind of jobless. Like they're doing things at home. Like for example, me, I'm writing books. I'm making posters online, but nobody's paying me to do that, and that feels a bit disappointing because I feel like I would have more motivation if some money trickled down. Like it would make me feel like I actually have a job. Like this is what I'm doing, and I'm getting money, even though that money is not technically for that. But in my mind, it will give me the impression that I'm getting paid to work. And I think that will give rise, especially to creative people who, let's be honest, they suffer, creative people suffer the most, okay? Because that field in general is just overcrowded as fuck. Um, Good luck getting into movie sets. Good luck getting into photography, really. That those There's so many people already, professional people working there. You're gonna be a small fish in the pond, you know. Like you're not gonna make much difference unless you're some kind of genius, you know, something. But that's very rare. So I think UBI is great. And yeah, that's all the things I wanted to say in this video. So again, I just want to reinforce this point. It's very important. I don't, if I criticize something about Japan, look, I criticize something about the States all the time because it's my country. There are so many things that are wrong in the US, and it's good to criticize it. That's the patriotic thing to do. As a patriot, I want the country to be stronger. I want the people to do better. I want the healthcare to be better. I want the education to be better. There's nothing wrong with that. If I say the education sucks and it needs to be improved, that's not a bad thing. That's a positive criticism. And it's the same in Japan. If I criticize something here, it doesn't mean that I'm against the Japanese people or I'm an enemy of the Japanese people or that I hate Japan. None of that is true. And if people think like that, like I said, this is just the mentality of a brat who never heard the word no in his or her life. And so they think everything is perfect, sugoi, umai. It's that crowd of people. And yeah, I don't like that crowd of people. I'll be honest. So yeah. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. And I might do more of these videos in the future. I don't know if people want if people want to hear my opinions or not. But from time to time, I will do them. And yeah, check out the rest of my channel. There's really a bunch of other stuff here, interesting stuff, mostly about climate change and religion, or atheism, I should say. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Take care and peace.